I have another student coming on, Judd Millman, and I think to always appreciate something, you have to first understand what would the world be like without something? This world is about contrasting things, and as you have heard all these students, you always have to recognize, like, what about if Torch had not existed? And if they had not existed, then all these voices you've been hearing for the last day and a half, you'd probably not be hearing. They would not be talking about how Torah has touched them. So, Judd, welcome. I'm so glad you took the time out of your day to come on. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's great to be here.
I would love if you could just sort of share your story about how you came into contact with Torch, and any backstory you wanted to provide before that. Bring it. Let's hear this. Let's hear the whole story.
I was living in Houston at the time. I live in Baltimore now. At the time, I was living in Houston and was at Starbucks with a colleague. And I don't know how, but Rabbi Wolbe was there. And oh no, I remember now. He recognized my colleague, and so that drew him over to us. The colleague, I guess, had already met Rabbi Wolbe and wasn't so interested in hearing what he had to say. But I actually was at a point in my life where I was really looking to learn more and to connect with someone. And here he was. And so he gave me an invitation to come join his family for Shabbos. And I probably went over that Shabbos or shortly thereafter. And then we learned together for several years. It was the start of a beautiful relationship. I think that was 2007. And Rabbi Wolbe, taught me a tremendous amount together with the other Rebbeim on staff at the time. And after a few years of learning together, Rabbi Wolbe told me I should, leave my law firm and go to Israel, go learn yeshiva. And I didn't know anything about yeshiva. And I thought he was a little meshuggah. And at that point, I kind of questioned if I should still continue to have anything to do with him. But that planted a very important seed. And, it was a really tremendous thing that he did to give me that eitzah. And shortly thereafter, I took his advice and I went to Israel. So I was in Israel from 2008 to 2010. And then I've been in Baltimore since I came back in 2010.
That's amazing. So you had a job at a law firm and you walked away from it for a little bit.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's so cool. It's so amazing. And what was living and being in yeshiva like?
It was fantastic. Like I said, I had no idea where I was going, and I was really quite nervous on the flight over. I had this thing on my head full time for the first time, and I remember looking myself in the mirror in the restroom at the airport, just thinking like, what a putz I was. What was I doing? Walking away from this law firm. I had no idea where I was going, and I felt pretty nauseous the whole flight over.
Yeah.
But then I got to the building, the physical building, which was in Har Nof, and I knocked on the door, and I was still feeling pretty nauseous. And the guy who opened the door happened to be my roommate, and from then on, it was just it was amazing. I mean, I was there for 2 years, and at this particular yeshiva, they kick you out after 2 years because if they didn't, no one would ever leave. Right. And it was just great. It was I had the time of my life. Made a lot of wonderful relationships, and of course, learning full time with creme de la creme in terms of teachers and rebbeim. It was really fantastic.
That's wonderful, and that's something we haven't really highlighted over the last day and a half about what Torch does. But it's quite often where students are coming here, they're learning, but they're at a point in their life where these rabbis say, what would be the next best step for you is not maybe continue to learn with us right now. It's immersing yourself in that situation in yeshiva. And when they find people that are in a position to do that, then that's one of the things they help students do if it's appropriate for them. So that's wonderful. So, we're the trajectory of our lives. There's a lot of things that happen during our life that sort of put us on this new trajectory. And would you agree with the fact that, meeting these rabbis at Torch all those years ago, back in, I think you said 2007, that if you had not met them, that your life may have been on a different trajectory?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. To put it lightly, yeah, I don't know where things would be, but I'd certainly be on a different trajectory.
And now that I can tell from your background that you're not in yeshiva. It looks like you're at an office. You're practicing law again, I assume, right?
Yes.
And just with the trials and the challenges that come through, just being engaged in your livelihood, and work and the parnasa. Do you find it that that those challenges that come with that you're able to take on those challenges with a lot more wisdom and guidance now that you are, a Torah observant Jew, rich in Torah wisdom, learning? Talk a little bit about that for those that maybe have not sort of experienced that at this point in their life.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much more wisdom I might have from the background of being Torah observant, but my typical day is I go to a minyan at 6 a.m. and then I go to a daf yomi afterwards, and then get the day started, and the way work throughout the day, and then go to a chabora at night, and I have a certain commute during the day, so I listen to shiurim when I'm driving, and being involved in learning throughout the day, morning, during the commute, in the evening, certainly gives you an equilibrium. And to the extent that there's problems at work, or you're not getting the validation you want at work, or you're not, you feel like you're not accomplishing whatever you're set out to, from all being involved in learning, it keeps your perspective straight, that those are not the icker things that really matter so much. It keeps you balanced as to grounded as to what's really important in life.
Right. Beautifully said. So what was harder, studying, going to law school, or studying Talmud in yeshiva?
Well, I'd say going to law school was harder because it's not very much fun, and right. Yeshiva is a lot of fun. In terms of which one kind of wrings your brain out more, right. That would probably be studying Talmud. But it's it's a great pleasure. It's hard to really explain, but you sit there, and at first you can't learn for 15 minutes. It's very, very hard. But, the days turn into weeks, and the weeks turn into months, and the months turn into years. And as time goes by, you find yourself, you learn for an hour, and then it feels better. And then you learn for 2 hours and 3 hours, and you just get more and more pleasure from it as you become more, you understand the material better. You have more of a background. And it just becomes, even though it's rigorous curriculum, it just becomes a pleasure.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to highlight was, and we were talking about that the previous guest Ethan, where he was talking about, like, when you're studying secular topics in college, it's sometimes it's like a chore, but when you're even grappling with things that are much more challenging in Torah, it's more of a struggle to understand it, that you have to fight for, but it's pleasurable and you don't want to stop doing it.
Right. And you have the Havrusa system where, you're working with someone else and you develop very meaningful relationships. The relationships you develop through Torah learning are unmatched. It's not anything like your fraternity brother or whoever else you meet in life.
Right.
Much deeper, more meaningful relationships are developed in Torah learning.
One of the things I want to ask you about too is it seems like, and this happened to me and a lot of people, is that the first thing that sort of gets us interested in learning Torah is going to our first Shabbos meal. You mentioned Rabbi Ari invited you over to his home early on. Was that what was the impact that had on you, just being there and experiencing Shabbos in his home?
I don't remember if this was the first meal I had at his home or the second or the third or the fourth, but somewhere early on, I remember seeing his family and being very, very impressed with his kids and comparing it to some children. I myself didn't have any children at the time, but other children within our family, and in our family, a child could have, even this was back in 2007, where perhaps there was less technology. I mean, not every kid had I don't think we had iPhones yet, but they had all types of devices and whatnot, and you could give them thousands of dollars worth of devices, and they would stay entertained for 15 minutes, and and then they would have a tantrum. And then I go over to Rabbi Wolbe's house, and the kids are playing with like a ball or like pots and pans or like whatever is laying around on Shabbos, and they're having like the time of their life playing with the simplest things because it was a real true simcha, a true joy, a true feeling of they were experiencing Shabbos, and they didn't need all of that, all those extraneous things. They didn't need all this facade, all this technology, and all these other devices that you have to just constantly be buying. It's all just a cover up. It's not really providing that true simcha. And I saw that true simcha with his family.
Yeah, I think technology and video, a lot of that can become a distraction from life, even at a young age. But when you're living in a world where you don't want to be distracted, you want to be in this world, especially a day like Shabbos. Even the young kids pick that up. The atmosphere is different, and I noticed that early on too. When Rabbi Ari's brother, Rabbi Yokov, will be invited us over for Shabbos, it was just something in the atmosphere that was just different. It was something we never experienced before, and it had a very profound impact on us. And we knew then, like, we're going to end up here in this community one day. And so we were so delighted when we finally moved out here. So anything else that you can share? I loved your story. I had not even approached the whole thing about how these rabbis, when they find the people that would be good candidates for yeshiva, they say, they don't keep you here. They find the right trajectory, and they help people find the right yeshiva for them, whether it's here in the States or over in Israel. Is there anything else you'd like to share that would get people to see the value in Torch that we're bringing not only to the Estonians, but around the world, and reasons for them to want to go to givetorch.com and support us with their tzedakah?
Well, what inspires one person or motivates a person, or what gives them chizuk, is very personal and varies. But I can just say that I don't know the full roster of Rebbeim that make up Torch today. I remain close with Rabbi Wolbe, and I know that he is first class, and he knows he is a true professional, and he really, he knows the way to a person's heart, how to be successful in bringing people closer to Torah, and in teaching, and he's really a gem, and people should take advantage of such opportunities. I mean, to those who don't know, and have the opportunity to spend time with Rabbi Wolbe, they should really pursue those opportunities. And to the extent that someone can give tzedakah so that Torch can continue with its mission, further reaching out and connecting with Jewish neshamas, there's probably no better way that you can distribute your tzedakah money.
Thank you so much, Judd. I appreciate you coming on. It was such a pleasure to meet you. And I hope we can stay in touch. And again, thank you for speaking up and sharing your story about how the rabbis here at Torch had such a positive impact on you. So we appreciate it.
Okay, Hetzlaka.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.